Mr. Huelskamp.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Doctor, thank you for joining us here today. Quick question. How many years have you been director at the CBO?
Almost 2.5 years, Congressman.
2.5 years. And Director, how many, we've had discussions today of the House Republican budget plan, and I'm a freshman. How long has it been since you've actually analyzed a congressional Democrat budget plan?
Well, so Congressman, I don't want to sound too technical, but we don't really analyze budget resolutions usually. Budget resolutions come from the budget committees. In fact, for Chairman Ryan's proposal, we analyze the longer-term impact of that proposal as we've analyzed the longer-term impact of other proposals he has had. We don't really do an estimate of a budget resolution. It's not a bill. It's not a law.
Okay. So, Senate Democrat proposal out of their budget committee, when was the last one you analyzed that came out of their committee?
I think, Congressman, that the last budget resolution voted on by the Senate Budget Committee was in 2009.
2009. Okay, been a little over 2 years, or did they even have one in 2 years? Did you ever analyze?
I believe they did in 2009 because the reconciliation instructions that came out of that budget resolution turned out to be quite important in the final act of the health legislation.
Did that pass the Senate?
Yes, I believe. I guess I'm not sure, Congressman. I don't want to speak to that.
And then the House Budget Committee that time, did they pass a budget proposal?
I guess we're not completely sure, Congress. Again, it turns out it's just a piece that we don't look at directly.
Yeah, and I was just trying to figure that out. I've heard that there has not been anything passed for a couple years, and that's pretty amazing to me. What I want to talk about, though, is a question on your economic assumptions. You talk about on pages 26 through 28 the impact of more borrowing, higher tax rates, and its impact on economic growth. And economists pretty well agree that if you increase spending by issuing more debt, it's going to impact the private economy negatively. Increasing spending by raising taxes will do the same. So under most economic assumptions, it would seem that the only reasonable alternative is still grow the economy and tackle the deficit is actually reducing spending now. Is that correct?
Well, Congressman, there are trade-offs here. So higher marginal tax rates do reduce economic activity to some extent under the views of most economists. But certain forms of government spending are important for economic growth, and reducing those could be damaging to economic growth. Moreover, there are certain forms of spending that we think are important to pay for.
But in your analysis, this was pages 26 to 28, talked about increasing taxes will hurt economic growth.
Marginal tax rates.
Yes.
Yes.
As has been suggested by the President. Additionally, by borrowing more debt, it has a similar impact on the economy. And
yes.
So explain to me that why reducing spending is not the only alternative.
So again, Congressman, for a dollar reduction in the deficit, if one cut some form of spending that was not itself an investment in economic growth, that would be better for the economy than if one raised a dollar through an increase in marginal tax rates.
So is Medicare spending a economic growth driver?
I don't think it's an important driver in the long term.
How about Social Security?
I don't think it's an important driver in the long term.
How about the Department of Defense budget?
Again, there are some pieces of it that have mattered.
So we just eliminated 2/3 to 3/4 of the budget, Doctor, as economic growth drivers from the spending side. We have to reduce spending. You just eliminate 2/3 of it. So the remaining third drives economic growth?
Just saying, Congressman, that there are pieces of federal spending that have been important in economic growth. I don't have an exhaustive list of that, and we're not good at modeling those effects.
But you do make a statement that, and you didn't identify that in the report. I'd appreciate a follow-up if you could identify the particular programs that you believe drive economic growth. Mr. Bernanke refuses to identify those, refuses to face the possibility that we have a debt crisis, and that if we don't face that very soon and quickly and suggest that we can't cut spending, that somehow we can borrow and tax, and that's going to work out. Obviously, your report doesn't say that, so I'd ask that as a follow-up. If you could provide that determination, if you would, of the type of spending you believe CBO believes will help drive economic growth, because we're working with that now, and I would appreciate that that distinction. So with that, I appreciate
We're happy
that.
to work with your staff, Congressman, and
Okay,
try to
thank
provide
you.
you the information you're interested in.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back my time.